When it comes to kart racing, I think of Mario Kart 64 and Crash Team Racing, with those two putting the kart racing genre on the map. With simple track and easy kart mechanics and wacky items to help you reach the first place, it became a family-friendly game for gamers that just want a general race to broken friendships with most competitive gamers. And throughout the years, we've seen a few Mario Kart knockoffs like Sonic and All-Star Racing series, but also seen indie developers having their own spin like Wacky Wheels and of course, the game that I'm looking at today, Super Indie Kart. Yes, greetings my time travelers. My name is Planetary, your fellow time traveling gamer, here for the Planetary's Throwback, where I'll be looking into Super Indie Kart, an interesting concept mixing Super Mario Kart and also Sonic All-Star Racing into this interesting 2D asset in a 3D environment kart racer, to see if it's worth your money to get this game. So sit down, relax, grab yourself some popcorn and your carbonated drinks, and enjoy the show. Being developed and published by a one-man band, Paul Hamilton from One Legged Seagull, and using the Unity engine comes Super Indie Kart, being released on the 7th of May 2015 as Early Access. A Mario Kart clone with all the well-known indie game characters all in one game, like Juan from Guacamelee, Carol T and Sash Lilac from Freedom Planet, Toe Jam and Big Earl from the game series of the same name, and Ducks from the Duck games, and plenty more to play as, with more being the process alongside with the tracks. Yeah, not kidding, with it being in early access, there's not much to go by with 44 tracks in total at the moment. With 32 tracks being like Super Mario Kart with short tracks that goes for 5 laps, and 12, with the missing 20, being like the modern day Mario Kart. Either being developed or looking for indie games to get licensed and the okay to make characters and tracks for this game. Granted, yes, looking for licenses and copyright claims from others can be a pain, but that would have been the first thing to be sorted before starting the project, but that's just my opinion. But nevertheless, copyright licenses aside, this game was made out of inspiration of the Mario Kart series, and you can actually tell with some of the track features, like the gravitation sections in the modern inspired tracks, like Sig Ultra Stadium and Tesla Tower, Floor 64, with some quirks which I'll talk about it later. Then we have the short tracks, 32 tracks with 16 being made with the indie themes, and the other 16 being VR tests. Boost pads being everywhere and the crystal jewels that are like Mario coins in the kart game. A true inspiration of Super Mario Kart by one individual. When it comes to gameplay, it's just your average old school kart racer, racing around the track 3 to 5 laps depending on the tracks, trying to get first place with your average Grand Prix and their usual speed selection, 50, 100, 150, and well, best watch out for 200cc. Though Grand Prix is a fun little challenge when it comes to 50cc, but when it comes to anything higher, it becomes more of a challenge, with the AI rubber banding being somewhat fair and challenging if skillful enough, or could be outright douchebags when you're 2 spots behind. Though if you're only looking to race normally and have fun getting to first place, that's no problem. But once you add objectives into the game to get the best result being the A triple plus, well, you'll be using your retries countless times to get that rank, with getting first place, collecting certain amount of jewels and finding the golden shrooms. And the objective varies from the selector speed class, which I say some of them can be easy to find but also can be helpful to look for new shortcuts for later Grand Prix or to get ahead of your mates. Speaking of which, a nice little segue, you can play up to 4 players split screen with mates, either racing against each other or going into battle mode with collect the jewels or your average 3 livestock battles. But sadly, I got no one to play with. So looks like I'm going Larry Loner again, god damn it. Starting to wish I have friends to play, but sadly this game doesn't have an online feature for multiplayer. I understand it is expensive to have a server and it's just an inspiration game, but hopefully somewhere in the future where people around the world will experience what that game is all about online. Well, enough of the multiplayer. Since I got no one to play with, let's continue on with mission mode. Something that was inspired by Mario Kart DS, where you go through 9 missions with 8 missions either being skillful driving through gates or avoiding objects to collecting objects, with the 9th mission being a character challenge, where if you beat the ghost, and it's a big if, you'll unlock a new character to play as. And you got your time trials and single race to either test out the tracks and set your best time and to look for some helpful shortcuts to get across the finish line. Looking at the tracks, there's some tracks that have very unique features set to their theme that players must learn and get the hang of. But sadly, there's only 5 unique tracks with unique features like Runbow with the color changing theme, where whatever color is activated, it becomes transparent where you have to jump over. A nice challenge, yes, but it kills your drifting boost. To the Tesla Towers with its magnetic push or pull to make it beneficial or a sudden nightmare for players that tries to reach first place. Other than that, the racetracks are filled with boost pads, technical sharp turns that requires players with quick reflexes, and some awesome long turns allowing players to pull off massive drift boosts, which I'll get to soon. And the ink level, which mind you, I had more trouble to figure out about the track, but then again, it was my fault using the fish. To explain more of the gameplay, we must look at the controls. The controls for this game handles alright, if a little bit stiff and a little bit unresponsive. The controls are like the Mario Kart series, with the face buttons being your acceleration and brakes, and the triggers to jump to drift. Able to charge up to a level 3 boost, and also to throw items with the directional pad up or down to change the item's trajectory, with also the change camera view from full cart to first person. And I'll say this, keep the camera at full cart, though yes, I like the animation of the wheel turning, but that's a massive chunk of the screen taken up. So best leave that button alone unless you don't mind it taking up the screen. As for the karts themselves, they don't have any stats. No light, no medium or heavy class. No acceleration, speed and grip differentiation. That's right, they all drive exactly the same way. So it all comes down to knowing the tracks and the skills of using your drift mechanics and luck with items. With it using the Unity engine and the added mixture of 2D and 3D graphics, with the 2D graphics being used for characters, items, and fonts using some old school 32-bit to 64-bit graphics, with some delightful color palettes to make them stand out of the 3D environments, and some color palettes that makes most characters blend in the 3D environments, that made it difficult for myself and the players to see. As for the GUI, it is very simple and stands out very well. Well, most of them. With the item pickups, the jewel counters, objective medals, and the position are all simple and easy to see, except the minimap. If there's one thing that most kart racers normally do is have an easy to see minimap. Now the minimap does work fine with nice colored tracks, but not with highly bright tracks. It becomes hard to see the actual map of the track. If there was a black border or a change of hue to a different color of the brighter backgrounds, like what Mario Kart 64 has done with the snow tracks, it would have been easier for me and for the players to see the actual size of the track and what will come up next. As for the characters, some stick out very well, while others like the Discount Slenderman and Cloudman and the Snowman are more likely to blend into the racetracks too easily. Especially the cube as well. But it's awesome to see all of them into one game, seeing how most characters that were mostly drawn from a certain style for their own game, being pixelated to a T and not missing any details. Like the steady characters before, but also some characters that have different costumes, or different characters entirely. Or for this fish having an entirely different party time theme. Yeah, not feeling like party time after that I saw. Looking at the tracks of both the modern inspiration and the old school inspiration tracks, they look pristine and clean, set towards each theme with some tracks with the mixture pixel art for boundaries, roads and backgrounds. Just makes the track look more alive with some Easter eggs featuring in some of the tracks. Let's see how many are out there. Particle effects were done pretty well with the splash effects of collecting items and getting hit by them, to the drifting smokes and different flames to indicate what stage they will get after letting go of the drifting. It was well done and easy to see for the players. Also, the drafting particles. It's just an awesome effect that most kart racers use to help indicate the players that they are about to gain tremendous speed. Is such a great indication. But I might have a bit of a nitpick where some particles are somewhat questionable and hopefully can be fixed in later updates. It is that long cylinder flame particle whenever players land a drift boost or boost pad. With sudden flicker of it does throw me off a bit, but not a big issue though. When it comes to soundtrack on the other hand, the soundtracks are nice and set well for each theme of the racetrack, with the awesome 80s and 90s beats with the original racetracks from Super IndyCart to awesome bang beats with Tesla Kid, Duck Game, Toe Jam and Earl and Can Bolt, and many more. Now, like Mario Kart, they also speed up the soundtrack to give out some tension towards the player, to give them that sudden urgency to put the pedal to the metal to reach first place. Now for something like that, there's some soundtrack that did not work well with the increased tempo, and there's some that did work out just fine. Mostly the Tesla Kid, Run Bow, and Duck Game, but for some it did feel a bit out of tempo, but hey, it might just be me. But nevertheless, the soundtrack overall just works out fine. It feels like reliving the old childhood memories while racing the iconic indie games. Same with the voices of the characters. They sound awesome though. They don't voice as much, they do make some sound from when they hit other races, get hit by other items, or finish the race. Especially the game using original voices from their own games, which I gotta say, it's pretty awesome. With Super IndyCart being a nice callback of the original Super Mario Kart format, with the retro-inspired track that goes for 5 laps, to the most modern Mario Kart like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with the gravity feature in most track and unique quirks from both modern and retro tracks, which does give the players to be more wary of the obstacle that each track has in store. But sadly, due to it being in early access, there's a massive chunk of tracks that still needs to be done, including characters, which makes me wonder whether I should revisit this game in the future. Gameplay overall is fine, but if the mission objective wasn't a thing in this game, it would be fine without me or the players having to worry about looking for golden mushrooms or collecting a certain amount of crystal, which doesn't go towards anything for the game. If anything, make the crystal or golden mushrooms worth something for the players to go collect them, make it as currency to unlock characters, or better yet, different skins for the characters you've previously unlocked, to keep the game's replayability going, forcing the players to go out their way to look for them and discover new shortcuts for each tracks. Though yes, the local multiplayer is a good feature to have, but for some gamers like me, don't have a spare controllers around that could pass around with other gamers and hold it up on one screen and have that old school game night with mates, though understandably making an online network room does cost much to keep it maintained and hosting many other players around the world. It will be a nice add-on in future updates. The graphics are a mixed bag of awesome and decent, both tracks and the user interface. With the user interface, mostly the items and the positions are easy to see, but the mapping may need a little work with the coloring with bright colors in most tracks. The tracks, however, stands out pretty well, making them unique when players jumps in for their first time in the game, with the character design being well made and not missing a single detail of your favorite indie characters. With the soundtrack being an easy to listen to, from being at the main menu to jumping into your first racetrack, but when it comes to the final lap, some soundtrack does work fine while others does sound a little bit offbeat, but nevertheless, still an awesome soundtrack to listen to. If anything, it is quite a feat for just one game dev that has put so much time and effort into making this game from 2015 all the way up to now. Hopefully somewhere along the line that this one-legged seagull will spread its wings and fly high to achieve this goal somewhere in the future, bringing other iconic characters for the race of their time. Best of luck. Well, that's about it, ladies and gentlemen, all my fellow time travelers, and thank you for watching the Planetary's throwback of the Super Indie Kart. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to leave a like and also get your experience in the comments below of what you think about this game. Also, if you're a new time traveler, feel free to subscribe as well to see when and where I'll be traveling to next time for the Planetary's throwback. Hopefully you enjoyed your time traveling journey one game at a time. Until next time, this is your fellow time traveling gamer signing off, and I'll see you guys next time. Ta-ta!